Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Special Licensing Committee of Monday, the 21st November 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here at Melton Mowbray Parkside. Members are reminded that we will be using the audio-visual system this evening, and the meeting will also be streamed live on YouTube. Members are asked to physically raise their hands in the usual way to indicate they wish to speak and to use their microphones when speaking for the benefit of all present. The microphone is live when the red light displays. Please switch mobile phones to silent. I will now provide a reminder of the evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, please leave by one of the 6 emergency exits around the sides of the chamber. Please assemble at the far side of the front car park nearest to the park entrance. Officers will be on hand to assist persons who require any assistance. Public recording of the meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. Okay, so moving on to the agenda then. Agenda number 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence? Yes, Councillor Chandler. Thank you. Yes.
Could you avoid Monday nights?
Okay, yeah, okay, noted. Okay. Yeah, I think we've had one member of staff who can't make Mondays as well, so it is a problem. Thank you, Councillor Chandler. Any further apologies? Anyone from anyone? No. Okay, so I've also have the following councillors not present: Councillor Posnett and Councillor Wilkinson. They may arrive during the meeting. The weather is very bad out there. It's raining very heavily. So well done to anybody who's had to travel tonight. Do appreciate that. Okay, item number 2, declarations of interest. I'm now inviting members who wish to do so to make declarations of interest in respect of items on the agenda for this meeting. No. Okay, so no declarations of interest. Thank you. So there is just one item on the agenda tonight, but it is very important. It is the review of the Statement of Licensing Policy 2022 to 2027. And I have Simon Greensmith, who is the Licensing and Compliance Officer, who will provide a brief introduction to this report. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies as well from my colleague Sarah, who has been following this through from start to finish, but because it's on a Monday, she's not been able to make it, so I've taken on the role. As you're aware, Melton Borough Council is undertaking a review of the Statement of Licensing Policy in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003, where the authority has a duty to review the licensing policy at least every 5 years. It sets out how Melton Borough Council intends to promote the licensing objectives pursuant to Section 5 of the Licensing Act 2003. In the preparation and publication of this licensing statement, the Council has had regard to the Home Office Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003 guidance. In June this year, the Licensing Committee gave its approval to complete a 12-week consultation period, which started on the 4th of July and ran until the 26th of September 2022. During this time, it was published on our website and in the Melton Times. It was also available for inspection at Parkside Reception Desk. It was sent to the responsible authorities, which include Melton Borough Council Licensing, Fire, Health and Safety Executive, Planning, Police, Pollution, Trading Standards, Public Health and the Home Secretary. It's also gone to businesses and residents at the relevant resident groups, local councillors, the British Beer and Pub Association, Pub Watch, persons and bodies that are representative of the local premises license holders, local club premises and certificate holders, local personal license holders, and representative of businesses and residents in its area. So during this 12-week consultation period, no comments were received. Here is a summary to remind you of the changes that we are seeking to make in the policy. The first is the removal of the cumulative impact policy. This was initially adopted in 2011 in Melton Borough Council's Statement of Licensing Policy. However, over time, in the town centre in particular, the nighttime economy have changed considerably. More people shop online now as a result of the COVID pandemic, and in order to regenerate the economy, it is recognised that we need to have more to do in the town, like places to eat, drink, and rather than just shop. As a result, it is felt that the cumulative impact policy is no longer required in Melton Town Centre and may in fact be detrimental to the trade. It is therefore proposed that this is removed in an attempt to support the economy in the town centre. Initial discussions with the local police and the licensing team, which covers all of Leicestershire Police, as well as the Melton bid team, the Business Improvement District, indicates that all parties concur with regard to the removal of the cumulative impact policy as being a pragmatic approach. There are other amendments to the policy to bring it in line with current legislation, and these namely are in section 2.3, entitlement to work. Applicants for a licence must demonstrate that they have the right to work in the UK and are not subject to a condition preventing them from doing work relating to the carrying on of licensable activity. As an alternative to providing a copy of the original documents, the Home Office has now introduced an online right to work checking service. In section 2.4, the promotion of the licensing objectives, a sentence has been added to highlight that the 4 licensing objectives are of equal importance and the paramount concern of the licensing authority. Information for the applicant that on the operating schedule they include that it's converted into conditions on the licence, a recommendation that the applicant discusses their application with the responsible authorities, and confirmation that where no representations are received, that the licensing authority must grant the licence application. In section 4.3, which is local, national and international occasions, a new section has been added in respect of local, national and international occasions to explain that applicants may wish to consider bank holiday opening hours when completing their operating schedule. That temporary event notices can be used to cover other occasions, and that the Secretary of State can generally extend hours on special occasions such as royal wedding or royal jubilee. Section 4.2, drinking up time. A new section was added to advise applicants that, and the public that the drinking up time was not carried over as part of the Licensing Act 2003. It highlights that the licensable activities time and that the premises opening hours do not have to be the same, but that applicants are encouraged to consider a drinking up time to assist with the gradual dispersal of customers. In section 7, alcohol deliveries, under the section entitled Prevention of Crime and Disorder, an additional section has been added headed Alcohol Deliveries, which became prevalent during COVID. It highlights the need for applicants wishing to deliver alcohol to consider how to maintain age verification during that process. In section 14.1, change during the lifetime of a licence, this additional section is to act as a reminder to all applicants and personal licensees that the Licensing Act 2003 requires them to advise the licensing authority of any changes to their name or address and to notify the licensing authority of any relevant convictions during the lifetime of their licence. In section 16, representations, this is a new section on representations to advise the public and applicants how representations can be received against an application. It goes on to advise that any representation from an interested party other than a responsible authority will be considered as to whether it is relevant and must be based on one of the 4 licensing objectives. In section 17.1, a new section under section 17 enforcement, which advises applicants that failure to pay the annual maintenance fee will result in the premises licence being suspended and all licensable activities ceasing. In 17.2 reviews, a new section is to advise both applicants and the public that all premises, once a license has been issued, can be subject to a review for matters arising at the premises in connection with the 4 licensing objectives. This section also advises the options available to the licensing authority on receipt of a review. Section 18.1, events in Melton. A new section to give advice on event organisers that the licensing authority requires notification of events to be held within Melton, with the aim to ensuring the events are run safely and effectively. It also allows the licensing authority to inform partner agencies, including emergency services, about up and coming events. As there was no representations received in relation to this consultation period, we are now seeking the approval of the licensing committee for the portfolio holder, Councillor Alison Freer, to take the revised statement of licensing policy to full council for approval on the 20th of December 2022. Now, this is contrary to what is shown in the report, as the date has now changed. At 7.1, it was down as the 15th of December, but it's been put back now with full council to the 20th of December. And I ask that you consider this now and put it forward to that full council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, so obviously I'm looking for a proposer and a seconder for the recommendation. I mean, incidentally, welcome to Councillor Wilkinson, who has entered the meeting during that presentation by Simon. So continuing, I would like to open the debate and would like to invite members to raise their hands if you so wish to speak. As I say, I will be looking for a proposer and seconder. Yes, Councillor Carter.
Thanks, Chair. Just one, Chris. You said on deliveries. Is there a time limit on deliveries to go to places, please?
Councillor, yes, sorry, a time limit on
Deliveries, alcohol going to shop, going to breweries and going to restaurants.
as in the hours that they can operate? Or,
Yeah, deliveries, yeah.
No, there is. It would be dependent on the license of whoever was delivering. So their license would still be there. So if you've got an online retailer that says they're going to finish at 6 o'clock in the evening, then they shouldn't be delivering after that time, because that would be the delivery of the alcohol. So yes, certainly. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Carter and Simon. Councillor Pritchett.
Thank you, Chair. This is the same document that we approved on the 30th of June with no amendments. Is that correct?
Yes, there's been no representation, so
Yeah.
there's been no amendments made to it. It's still the same one that went out for consultation.
Yeah, I checked it through then and I've checked through this document. I'd like to propose that it's accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pritchett. Do we have a seconder at this stage? Oh, there was a, okay, yeah, Councillor de Burgh. Oh, or is it Councillor Fisher? Councillor Fisher. Okay, lovely, thank you.
I'm happy to second this.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher, lovely. Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak? I do have a question myself for Simon, if that's okay. I was interested in the reference to the annual fees, 5.11.1. And yeah, I was quite pleased to see that this has been included. I should think that this inclusion is pretty necessary, and that failure to pay annual maintenance fee will result naturally in suspension of any licence. But I'm just wondering, has it been a problem in the past? Have you found, is this why it's been included? Because people just haven't been paying their fees. Have you any comments or information about that? Thank you.
It's on the whole, the majority of license holders pay their fees annually, but there is always occasions where one or two will delay that process. The addition really in the policy is just to clarify it for everybody that's there, and also for the committee, should any of these be brought to them for failure to pay the fees. Normally we would remind the licensees of what their requirements are to pay this maintenance fee, because the license doesn't expire. So a license is issued, it will then go on infinitum, until such time as it's surrendered. But the annual maintenance fee is what keeps it current and keeps it going. So the Licensing Act allows within that, if it's not paid and is not responded to, that we can actually suspend it for a very short period of time, and then it would come back to the licensing committee for them to consider actually revoking it or suspending it further.
Yes, thank you, Simon. Yes, that's interesting that the license does continue until revoked, but you have the power to temporarily suspend it, which makes them pay up basically.
Yeah, yes,
great.
it does. So in effect, it is quite it's in their interest to continue to pay. But again, if there are circumstances, we would speak to them and talk about it. I can't say there's been an increase or a decrease in it. I think it's a fairly static sort of. But we as long as we are there to remind them of their obligations, they normally seem to comply with it. So
Thank you for that. No hands are raised. So I would just like to say that obviously the last review is in 2017 and we have to update it every 5 years, and that it did come in draft form on the 30th of June, which has come through as we've been discussing things. And I just want to acknowledge the inclusion of several new sections in this policy to reflect the changing landscape of the licensing arena and the modern changes such as the use of the internet, technology, and changing needs and preferences in society reflected in the mountain community. I particularly was pleased to see the taking out of the cumulative impact policy of 2011. So I thought that was a good move. I was going to ask you more about that, but you anticipated that and gave me lots of information. So that was a question that I was that you've sidestepped there. Some good clarification all round, such as the equal weight given to the 4 licensing objectives. And it's a good idea to include the relevant information for the applicant on the license itself, such as the operating schedule. For example, I thought that was very practical and worthwhile because it would be there in their records and they can just look at the details quite quickly. And the new section regarding the local and national bank holidays I thought was really, really good. You've mentioned the new section on representations, that anything relevant and logical will be looked at. All representations, that is. I thought that was realistic. A section about the reviews. If anybody believes that the licensing objectives are being breached, then it can go to the review. I think that mentions everything. The entitlement to work process has been simplified. Yes, you did give a bit more information there. It's made easier with online improvements, promoting speed. I think here's the final comment. I'm really pleased at 5.7.1, the mention of the drinking up time re-included this time. I remember years ago, in 2003, we had publicans just suddenly closing the pub or the restaurants, and you know, the lights went off and you had to kind of guzzle up quick and get out. And I'm really pleased to see that this has been revised and that the half an hour is now recommended. That's really helpful. I think that's kind of sociable and it's kind of very much more pleasant as well. I think it's helping everybody all around. So yeah, I always thought that was a bit unfortunate when that changed in 2003. But anyway, okay, so we have a proposer in Councillor Don Pritchett and a seconder in Councillor Fisher. So now we can move on to the vote. Nobody else wants to speak? Yeah, Councillor Carter.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Sarah for a good report, and it's really good. Can you take that back, Sarah, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Carter. That's a good comment there. It is good. Easy to read and easy to follow. Very clear. Anybody else before we go to the vote? Okay, then. So all those in favour of recommending to Council the approval of this revised statement of licensing policy 2022 and Appendix A. I think that's unanimous then. Yes, that's unanimous. Thank you. So that has been carried and it will go to full council for the 20th of December. Thank you. So that is actually quite an important item this evening. It is the only item this evening. Thank you for your attendance and such a difficult and problematic night with the weather being so bad as it is. And at 6:50 p.m. we are now closing the meeting. Thank you.
Not the last bit, or does that?